mean, it's this little tiny amp, but it's also really, really loud and has a lot of really cool features and is exceptionally well built. I had never heard of Mezzabarba before. I hadn't heard of them until Cliff Coltrari from Destroy All Guitars had mentioned them to me, so I had no experience with them at all. And thankfully, the LA Amp Show had happened recently, and so I was able to spend some time with the heads and familiarize myself somewhat with them before they sent over the one that's in this video. The Skill is Mezzabarba's scaled down lower power version of their M0 flagship head. The M0 is a 100 watt 2-channel head powered by EL34s, whereas the Skill is a 30 watt 2-channel head but still powered by EL34s. And it's really, really loud for 30 watts, shockingly so. But it has a clean channel with a bright switch and a boost switch, both of which are very useful, and it has a dirty channel. And it also has an effects loop and a multi-pin foot switch where you can switch channels and also switch the effects loop on and off. But perhaps the coolest feature of the amp is the power section. The power section for this amp doesn't have a half power switch or a low power switch. It actually has its own pot on the front faceplate of the amp where the wattage and power output of the amp is truly variable. Not only that, but there are low and high presence controls for the power amp as well. So, in essence, you can use the variable power scaling as a way to get a wet-dry mix of how much of those low and high presence controls you want in your sound. It's very, very cool, very useful, and you're hearing a lot of the results of that in this video. The tone of the Skill head is very organic, extremely musical, very dense, very layered. It's very cool. It has a bit of a sag to it, like an older British amp might have, which I think is largely due to the EL34 power section, but it can definitely get in the neighborhood of the modern high-gain type deal, as you've heard. But it can also really do anything in between totally clean and that. And it's just a really positive, musical, sort of inviting sounding amp, and it's very easy to play. I really just enjoy how variable and how useful each of the tone controls are on the front of the amp. I mean, yes, it has bass, mid, and treble, but something about how they've dialed them in and the center frequencies and the bandwidth of each of those controls, I mean, it's really just the slightest move can change the sound vastly. And thankfully, the pots that they've used on the front of the amp are very, very easy to dial in precisely. They're not, really quick throw. It's very easy to dial it in and to keep settings where they need to be, which is really just a testament to the build quality, but also it almost feels like they made this amp with the intention of people being able to really dig into it and find all kinds of different tones just by experimenting with the controls, really. Mezzabarba is an Italian company. They build all of their amps in Italy, and then they bring them here. They are exceptionally well built and visually very striking. They have a very cool looking logo. They also have these giant red transformers in their amps, which I'm sure, aside from looking really cool, definitely are wound quite well because the amps really do sound great. And also, I mean, it kind of helps that when you have something that's really high performance and it's from Italy, it usually is red. The Skill may be a small head. It may be only a 30 watt head, but this definitely isn't going to be a practice amp or a small gig-sized amp. This is a main amp, make no mistake. It can definitely hold its own. It is very much ready for prime time. It has an astoundingly large tonal palette. I'm still trying to figure out if there's anything it can't do. I've kind of run out of ideas at this point. It can cover pretty much any ground. It's great looking, great sounding, it's inspiring, it's inviting, it's fun. And you can get this exact amplifier from destroyallguitars.com.